The number one country in the world for watching or listening to our podcast is, take a guess.
I'm so bad at this game.
Europe.
No, but good guess. You're close.
Oh, I feel like I have to stay over there now in my head.
No, it is the U.S.
Okay.
That's number one. But the second country that blew me away was Singapore.
No way.
Yeah,
It's always different.
I know. It changes all the time. And then you had said Europe, and Germany is third, and Ireland is fourth. And I think Ireland, the last time we checked, was number one.
Yes.
Because we were talking about the Irish, and they're known for drinking, which is a stereotype, of course, but, So,
we're not here for all that.
No. So anyway, welcome Singapore, Germany, and Ireland, and everyone around the United States of America. Welcome to another edition of Odyssey House Journals. I'm Randall Carlisle, your host. Nicole Slack, our co-host, who's terrible at these game shows.
Terrible, yes. Hello.
You'd be the person at the end of Jeopardy who had zero.
Or negatives. I'd go hard.
Yeah. And Ryan Kidrick is our guest today.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for it. It's interesting. People will sometimes, because really talking about one's addiction is a pretty personal thing to talk about. And people will say, you're exploiting these people because you bring them on and they talk about their horrible childhood or being assaulted and what they had spending time in prison. And I say, the people who come on this podcast have volunteered to be on this podcast, and that telling your story is part of the healing process when you go through recovery.
Yes, sir.
And you sent me an email saying you have a great story to tell, so I am not twisting your arm.
Yes, sir.
Or coercing you to do anything or say anything you don't want to do, right?
Correct.
Okay, we have that on record now.
Yes.
Okay, so any lawyers out there who want to sue on his behalf, good luck.
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah, right. So you were just, when we were just sitting down, you were talking about your story about your addiction and how you finally found recovery. Maybe you can just share it now that we have the tape rolling.
Yeah. Well, I can honestly say before my journey started here with Odyssey House, I lived, it's interesting to say that because probably the most valuable thing that I've learned throughout my life was when you were saying, not being coerced or the experience that we have, right? Like sharing our life experience and exploitation, right? I don't believe that myself, but that's because I'm a certified peer support specialist, and my life experience does wonders with helping people change their lives when I allow it to, when I'm able to share and be vulnerable. How much do you be vulnerable? You only do as much as you feel comfortable with, right?
Right.
With this certain situation, I felt compelled to come and share my story, not only to help further my knowledge on what it is that I'm doing and why I do it, but to pass that on to the next people. And to let people know that there is a chance and there's hope.
And that's the goal of our podcast,
Yes, sir.
which is perfect. Yeah.
Well, it's because my story started when I was really young. I lost my father. My mom, I apologize for getting emotional. My mom didn't know how to deal with that. So she kind of ran off for a minute. Well, that minute wasn't very long, but it seemed to me like years. And it seemed to me like I wasn't capable of attention or love, right?
At what age were you?
I was 5 years old.
Okay.
And that's a pretty young age to feel that way.
Yeah.
To not be able to find somebody, to be looking for a parent. Those things are very beneficial for children to have that coddling, that nurturing. Mm-hmm. When they're at that age, they need somebody to reprimand them, to give them discipline, and to help them, guide them, structure them on their way. When you don't have that, we look for things in other areas. I found my attention and the love of approval and respect from the streets, with people doing inappropriate things, but they give me attention. So, at that age, you don't realize how dangerous that is, but you just thrive for that attention, that you're seeking that love. and they accept you with open arms, and they do that very well, and that's part of the program, right? Like we in that area of life. For me, I found it there, and then my mom came back. She started, coming back too, realizing what everything that was happening, and she started processing it through her own way. And she came back, and she was there for me. But at that point, I had already lost so much in my mind. I had lost both parents, right? It might not have been that way, but that's what I made it mean. And that's what like trauma really is, right? It's not really what happens to you, it's what you make it mean to yourself and what you turn that into and how much pain do you decide to go through, right? But when you're that young, you don't understand that. So she comes back to my life and she gives me everything I've ever wanted. But I was looking for something else at that point because I appreciated the approval that I got from the other people. I could do whatever I wanted, right? Like what kid wants structure in their life? None of them. They don't want that. They want the easy way, right? So I ran with that. Multiple years, I lost a lot of people to violence. I've seen a lot of bad things, been to prison, made bad choices. My mom was always there for me, though. I always look back and never realized how much impact it had on me that I lost my mom at that moment in my life until later in life when I started treatment. And I didn't realize just how much that impacts people and how we hold our resentments and we hide them from other people.
How long was your mom gone?
A couple months.
And it
wasn't that she
must
was
have
gone.
seemed like years
it
to
did.
you.
And it wasn't that she was gone. She would come home, right? But it was the time that I couldn't find her or couldn't lean on her or like I needed my mom right there because my father had died, and I didn't believe it. I was like, I know my dad's dead, but when's he coming home, And that happens so much in society today when people lose parents or people don't have both parents and they grow up that way. And they're looking for love, approval, and respect, right? Or just attention. And how easy they find it when they get in trouble. They're getting spanked or whatever, but it's still attention. Mm-hmm. And so they go for that. If that's the only attention I get, then that's what I'm going for. I need it. You know what I mean? So even though all that stuff happened, I wouldn't change anything that I've been through in life. I wouldn't have the humility and the grace that I have in my heart for myself and other human beings without going through that. So it's going through the dark times in life is what really teach you and train you how to be a good person. Because if you've never been down and out, then you don't understand what it's like for these people to be down and out. You can't comprehend what it's like to lose everything until you've done it yourself. But once you've done that, then you start looking at people different. You want to help. You see somebody struggling and you have $1 in your pocket. What's good's $1 doing me? I can give it away, right? It's little things like that I feel that have made me the person I am today. Being willing to share my story is another one of those things.
So when did your substance use start?
When I was about 12, 13 years old, and I started smoking crack cocaine.
You started out doing that?
Yeah, well, I started smoking a little bit of marijuana, things like that. But that's, you know what I mean? It was the crack that really got me on that schedule of a downward spiral really, really fast.
Sure.
Doing a lot of bad things to obtain drugs. That's probably where most of my criminal behavior started. We were doing drugs in my mom's home, and my mom would let me get away with it because she loved me. And my mom was, probably trying to make up for the lost time by allowing me to do things, and that's not her fault.
So she knew about it.
She had an idea. We hid it, of course, and we're good at that. Drug addicts are better at hiding things than anybody.
Yes.
That's just the basic truth. Put my mom through so many things throughout life. Graffiti all over our house, inside and out, the whole garage covered with graffiti, cops kicking in our door all the time, looking for myself or other people that I hung out with. My mom went through a lot with me, and I put my mom through all that, not really understanding the impact that it was having on my mom or my family, being locked up, taken away from them. You don't think about that in the moment. You think, I got to be locked up. This is messed up, and we're always looking for someone to blame. Moving forward as I got older in life, and I've done a little bit of time, I started realizing just how much impact it had. Give up on my own children, right? To choose drugs over your children and to be able to admit that is hard. But it's something that happened. And holding myself accountable is one of the most important things about that. Accountability, I feel like, goes with humility. It's like the cornerstone of treatment. And if you don't have those things, you should probably search for that, you know. That's where I started to grow and realize that I'm not alone in this. There's other people who have been through it as well. So I started listening to other people, right? Along that journey was when my mom asked me to go to treatment. We were on the streets. Me and my wife were living on the streets, doing awful things to supply our habits. And she would come and visit us. Even though she knew how bad we were doing, she would still come and try to be there with us. She was going blind, and she would still try to drive to us and share food with us and just give us time and hang out with us. And she just loved us. And that love is probably what got me to where I'm at today. Unconditional love. But she came pick me up one day and she asked me, hey, what can I do to get you into treatment? I was like, I'm not going to treatment. I'll just go do my time and I'll get out, be sober. She was like, okay. And she was just a good woman, you know, and she said, okay. She didn't push me. But as she left, I started thinking about things, you know, why can't I just do that one time, you know, try it out. So the next day she had called me. She was going to come back into town. She lives in Ogden. And I says, hey, I'll go. If you come pick me up, you could take me to First Step. We'll go to First Step. Maybe I'm not supposed to say.
No, that's fine.
Okay.
That's fine.
So I went. They asked me if I was vaccinated. I told them I'm not willing to be vaccinated. So we left. And when we were leaving, she was like, hey, Odyssey House will take you right now. I've already called. And I said, I'm not going to that program. I had some thoughts about it. I didn't think it was for me. And she dropped me off. And she said, I'll be back in town tomorrow. I'll give you a call when I'm on my way. So that night, though, as I sat and thought with myself, I thought, who am I to take that from my mother? That's one thing she's asking me for, you know? So I called her, I says, hey, I'll go to Odyssey House. If you take me, I'll go. So she took me to Odyssey House the next day. I started at Meadowbrook, and I really liked it there. I really did like it. But I was running from the police, and I thought that was an easy way to get out of my legal troubles, was to go into Odyssey House. Well, I'm pretty sure that there's multiple people who do that. It is an easy way to get out of trouble because they'll give you an opportunity. With my certain circumstances, the judge wasn't willing to back down on the time that I had earned, right? I had to go get that commitment done. And so I started in jail. I asked the judge, could I please be court ordered to go to CATS so I could start treatment? And then I would like to go back to Odyssey House. And the judge was proud of me for that. And he said, I commend you for that, but you're going to have to do your time. And I said, I get it. So I started in jail. I went to CATS.
We should stop here for a second.
Yes, sir.
Because people watching aren't aware, but CATS is a program when you're in the Salt Lake County Jail,
Yes.
dealing with addiction, and it's a 3-month program.
Yes.
Right. So, and it's administered by Odyssey House.
Yes.
So
CATS is a wonderful. You're okay. CATS is a wonderful program, and I feel like if you can start in CATS, if you can make it through CATS with the convict mentality and the criminal thoughts and behaviors, that's the best place to start because it is hard. You know, the stigma behind telling on people or whatever. That's how that looks to you when you're in that mindset. So you're able to challenge that mindset if you're really willing to accept treatment into your life. And that's what it has to be. You have to be willing to do it for yourself. You have to want it. Needing it doesn't cut it. AP&P sending you there doesn't really cut it because if you're not willing to do the program the way it's formed out, then you're not going to get anything from it.
Right.
So I did CATS. I had a really hard time in CATS at first because we had to talk about vulnerable stuff, about our parents, about, you know, things that you go through, your trauma, whatever that looks like. I had a really hard time sharing that at first with other people who I didn't know or who I did know, but I actively was involved in doing criminal behaviors with on the streets because I didn't want to look weak, right? But I had to make a decision, and it started when I wrote my first impact letter. I wrote an impact letter from my mother and from my son, and them were like the cornerstone to where things really started making sense because I got to hold myself accountable, and it was from my heart. And it meant so much to me because I got to be 100% honest.
Describe what an impact letter is.
Yes, sir. So an impact letter is a letter from another person's perspective. I like to say that it should be somebody you're really close to, somebody you have really done a lot of damage to. That's would be the most beneficial way of an impact letter to work.
So you're writing what you perceive your mother would say about
Yes,
you.
from her perspective.
Right. Okay.
So her perspective of my addiction, of my behaviors, of my criminal patterns, whatever that looks like. And if you do an impact letter, to do it with your whole heart and be ultra vulnerable, let everything out, because that's the only way they really are working. You know what I mean? You have to really own your stuff. And I put it all out there. The letter from my son was extremely hard. The impact letters themselves are so valuable because you get to hold yourself accountable. And if you decide you don't want to share it with anybody, you don't have to. You will be sharing it with the group, within treatment. And that right there is monumental in treatment. You're able to hold yourself accountable from somebody else's perspective. And if you do it right, you're going to bring it all up.
And it's really hard.
It is really hard.
Who'd you do your impact letters to, Nicole?
My ex-husband, my daughter, and my son. And
Yep.
then 2 more from my daughter and my son, as if my suicide had gone through.
And I understand it. I had to write, I went through a different program, and I had to write a letter about how I loved myself. Okay.
Yeah.
So it was different, but I can imagine how hard it would be to put yourself in your mom's or your son's or daughter's perspective, writing a letter to you.
Yeah.
Those are hard, I presume.
They took
Yeah.
me weeks, and I was a hot mess.
I give people 2 weeks. Where I'm at right now, I tell people, hey, when you start your impacts, give yourself 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to go through some stuff in them 2 weeks. You're going to really be beating yourself up. And that's that little bit of shame. If you have it, it could change your life.
Yeah.
But you have to allow that to change your life. You have to step into somebody else's shoes and really see what you've done, really see the damage you've caused. And you have to be honest, because honesty is everything, especially in treatment. I don't know if you guys ever heard this, but if you ever talk to a drug addict, you're going to get honest feedback. And sometimes it's uncomfortable because we get really honest. We get really vulnerable. That's where it works. That's where the magic happens. My impact letters, it's interesting you talk about how hard it could be, because I talked about how I was in my mom's belly for 9 months. She took care of me, gave me all her vitamins, all her nutrients. Wow. She carried me. She took care of me. And for me to come out and just be this shining star for her and loving me, and then to watch me just fall through the cracks and start making bad decisions. And what can a mother do except for try her hardest to do everything she can, right? I put all that in there. Everything I did from a little kid, like making bad choices, not cleaning my room, doing things halfway. I held myself accountable for all that, and it did something for me. And it made me realize what I didn't want to do anymore, The ones to my son was a little bit worse because he witnessed things in my care as a father, and I had to hold myself accountable for that. And my daughter as well. They seen me on the news for awful things.
For crimes?
Yes.
Okay.
Some things I didn't do, but I was still on the news for it, and it looked really bad.
I may have been reading this story on TV.
Somebody might have lost their life, and I had nothing to do with it. But I was stuck in my mindset of not talking about it. It's not my business. So I sat in jail for a little bit on that, and that's okay because I learned a lot from that. I learned what accountability means.
Sure.
You have to be accountable for your actions in life. Take responsibility for the choices you make when they're bad and when they're good, and you get something out of positive choices and positive decisions. You get rewards, and there's consequences for negative things. But so back to the impacts, the way that it worked with my son is I made a decision after doing my impact letter with my son in group. Leanne was who I did mine with, and she's amazing.
She's wonderful.
She's amazing. Leanne.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And she helps you get it done.
Yeah.
She helped me out immensely, and she let me know that just because you're crying doesn't mean you pass, right?
I love her brutal honesty.
And it helped me so much realize, she was amazing. She helped me a lot. But after I did the group and I was, sobbing and soaking wet from tears, I made a decision to read that letter to my son. That is where the magic really happened for me, because I got to hold myself accountable to him for all the bad things, for not being present in his life and not protecting him and not providing for him the right way. And I did the same thing for my daughter. I wasn't able to share mine with her. She was in a car accident last year, right when I got out of treatment, and I didn't have the opportunity to share that information with her. I just don't think it would be a good idea because she's been through so much. And for her to get emotional things, she has some stuff that she was really hurt really bad in the car accident. So I don't think it would help her at all, right? I do have that. And life happens, and what you make of it is your choice, right? It's the first 40 years of my life. I heard this on one of your podcasts, and it was really amazing. The first 40 years of my life was all decisions that I made, and I hold myself accountable for those decisions. What is the next 40 years going to look like? That's up to me. That's up to me now. And now I have a good belief system of what could happen for me if I decide to do things the right way. What does the right way look like? It's different for everybody. I believe integrity and honesty, accountability, all these things, when you do this in your everyday life, look at people and you treat them the way you would want somebody to treat your children if they were in that predicament. It really changes perspective on things, you know. I wouldn't want somebody to be mean to my kids, so I'm not going to be mean to another human being.
Right.
Whether they're homeless, on the streets, they smell, I don't care about that. If somebody reaches out for a hug and I see them, I'm going to give them a hug. You know what I mean? I'm going to tell them, how are you? You know, and just being able to speak to people. I learned all that, though, through my life of going through that dark time. That darkness is what taught me everything. You know, Bane has a quote when he's talking to Batman, and he says, "You were sworn in it. I was born in it." When you go through the darkness like that and you really learn from it, you can be the best thing that ever happened to some people.
Sure.
Because with humility and honor of what you've been through, you can help other people see what that looks like and give them hope. So I completely changed my life. I didn't rewire my brain. I remodeled my whole everything about me.
That's a good word. I like that.
Yeah.
Remodeled.
Yeah. Well, I had to. I had to start from the ground, you know. And so I did. I had done self-harm to myself. I lost my right eye. I had a subcranial brain hemorrhage and a stroke in my brain from punching myself. It's because I was angry, and I knew if I hit somebody else, I could kill them, and I would be in prison for the rest of my life. So I tried my best to not do that, but I did hurt myself, and I lost my eye. I remember I was in Odyssey house, and my therapist took me in and showed me how to calm myself down with ice on my wrists. That really helped me out a lot. You know, I'll never forget that. But being able to step out of that and stop doing that to myself, it was a really hard thing to do because that's how I knew how to handle my anger. And in my mind, I wasn't hurting anybody else, right? What does it matter? I'm not hurting
Well, you are.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and I realized that after, you know, I wake up every morning and I look at myself and I tell myself, hey, you're doing great. You know what I mean? You're doing the best you can. And I started doing that when I first started treatment. I would wake up and tell myself, hey, you got this. Don't worry. Just keep doing what you're doing. Be nice to people. Even if people aren't nice to you, you know, have integrity with your behaviors and your attitude. What that looks like for me is do the right thing when no one's watching, no matter what. Even if they don't deserve it, that's not your place, right? I'm not there to judge that. Only thing I can do is my part. And as long as I'm being kind and genuine and my true authentic self, which is I like to display kindness. Some people think that's weakness. That's okay.
Cool.
Because everybody looks at things different, you know. And there will be a time in everyone's life when they realize how powerful kindness is because it goes a long way and it leaves a mark. So what I do, where I'm working now is that's one of my main focuses on it, teaching people how to be grateful, writing down gratitude journals, seeing beauty in everything that you can. Mm-hmm. Finding things to be grateful for it releases serotonin in your brain. It does things for you physically. If you can wake up in the morning and find 3 things to be grateful for today, well, by the end of the month, you'll have a whole paper. And it really works that way.
How are things with your son and daughter? Is your mom still around?
Yes, she is. My mother is around. And,
She must be really proud of you.
She is very proud of me. I'm proud of myself. You know,
You should be.
My mother is really proud of me. And My wife is also in this. We were together through all of our addiction, like 10 years, just hurting each other so much. And we
You're
made
still
it.
together?
Yes.
Holy.
She works downstairs.
No kidding.
Yeah. She's my best friend, and she's one of the reasons I started this journey, because I wanted to be able to help her, and I wanted to show her what love really looked like. And I've been able to do that now. And we have a good life, and we try so hard to forget about the past, but you'll never forget about it.
Sure.
That's what molded us, and that's what gave us the courage to step forward. And this life, to me, is much easier than being on the streets. It's so much easier. You know, I actually get to wake up in a bed. I'm not up for 20, 30 days. Like, I did that. I was probably in full-blown psychosis for half my life. When I started Odyssey House, I had to wear earplugs because I thought everyone was talking bad about me all the time. It was just an assumption, but it meant the world to me, you know what I mean? And so I had to get through all that, and now I can help other people who go through them things at Odyssey House as well by letting them know that there is hope, and they can get through this. It just takes a lot of work and a lot of internal dialogue.
What and relationship with your son and daughter?
Oh, my relationship with my son and daughter is very good. Me and my son touch base. I try to call him as much as I can. We both get busy. But we have a really good relationship now, and it's because I'm clean.
And mom?
That relationship is solid. Yeah.
Hey, can you talk about? I mean, obviously, your kids are adults now, right?
Yes.
Do you talk about the addiction and the past that you've given up and how you've turned things around?
Yeah. With them, or just in general?
Well, with them. Yeah.
They know. So my son was with me through the really hard times. My daughter came a little bit later. She's the one who got left behind. And the bad part about it is I thought I was doing them a favor by staying away. That's exactly what caused all the damage and pain in her life, you know, is me thinking that I gave up and I didn't want nothing to do with her, but that wasn't the case. But it doesn't matter, because it's like I said a minute ago about trauma. It doesn't really matter what anybody else thinks about it. It's what people make that mean to themselves. And for her, she thinks I left her and abandoned her, you know, and there's a lot of things that I'm not able to talk about with her, right? But it doesn't change the fact that I can try to be there and talk to her as much as possible.
You read the impact letter to your son that you wrote. Did you read it to the one to your mom or not?
Yes. That was the first one. Me and my mom have a really close relationship.
I can tell.
It's she's like my cheerleader, you know, and she's my greatest fan.
And she always has been.
She has always been there for me, and now I get to be that for her. I get the opportunity, and I truly believe in my heart that when you grow up, your mother and your father, they protect you, they take care of you in diapers and stuff. Well, when that happens to them, because we all go backwards when we get older, that's your opportunity to show up for them just the way they did for you. And I hope that I have the opportunity to do that with my mother.
Did she? What was her initial reaction? Did she cry a lot, or when she?
Yeah, we're emotional people, as you can tell.
No, I couldn't tell.
Yeah, and she's been amazing, and she did cry, but it meant the world to her to know that I was willing to hold myself accountable and be that person. You know.
Sure.
She's very proud of me for making the changes I have. Thing about it is, when you change, you have to let go of a lot of people. That's been one of the hardest things for me.
Sure.
I still see people, and I want to help everyone, but I have to remember that I have to come first. And if I'm not okay, then I'm not able to help anybody anyways.
Ryan, we are out of time. Thank you very much for sharing your story. It's a compelling story, hell of a story, really. And if you can do it, I mean, I don't mean this in a demeaning way, but if you can do it, anybody can do it. Right?
I believe that, and I tell people that as well.
Yeah, cool. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Good to see you, Nicole.
Me too.
And what country are we? Singapore. Thank you. Thank you, Singapore. See, we have our problems here in America, too. So thank you for watching or listening to another edition of Odyssey House Journals.